The Nation Network presents Coming in Hot. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coming in Hot. I'm Brent Wallace, the Happy Elf. It is our Christmas week alongside Jason York and Bobby Ryan. Guys, you didn't get the memo? No?
What? You mean we're in gray and black and you're like dressed up like an elf? We missed it. Wasn't in the notes, Wally. Come on.
Listen, I'm in the Christmas spirit, so no negativity from you two today.
No promises. Look at that. I love it.
It's
head elf.
This is
the head elf.
This is the best. I have sweaters to last the week. So are you guys, by the way, are you two ready for Christmas?
Yeah.
I'm old. Yeah. I guess.
So you didn't do anything, is what you're saying?
Nothing.
I got one job, Wally, to buy my lovely wife a present, and everything else is done for me. Tree is done, house is done, decorations are done. I basically gotta walk the dog. and make that's, and my kids are older too. I got older kids, Wally, your kids are getting older. Bob's got younger kids. When you got older kids, it's totally different, man. It's easy.
Yeah.
Easy. You just gotta instead of having to wake the kids up, instead of having to tell the kids to sleep in, you're like, all right, time to get out of bed. Let's go. Yep. We got to go to our family's house for the next visit. So it's totally different, guys.
That's not the case when they're small, 4 and 6. I mean, they're up at 5:30 in the morning. They're ready to go.
Let's get this party going.
Do either one of you cut down the tree, or do you even have fake tree, real trees in your house?
I'm a real tree guy. Sorry. I'm a real tree guy. There is no tree in my house right now, but yeah, you can't do fake trees. Fake trees are awful, man. I mean, it's you need the smell. You need everything. Yeah, I'm full on real treer.
Yeah, I should take you guys on a walkabout. We got the fake tree because the tree has to get perfectly decorated. The decorations are on a certain way. I was a real tree guy growing up. My dad, he used to always remember the Charlie Brown tree? He'd always pick the tree that, why'd you get that tree? Well, this tree looked like it needed some love, and you bring it in, there's quills everywhere. But no, we're sorry, man. We're a fake tree family. And we got the double tree family, one in the basement that we're decorating as a family on the 21st, and then we're going to do gingerbread houses. So I got to participate in that as well.
Nice. Very nice.
And then we've got,
wow.
Oh yeah. I'm taking one for the team.
You're the head elf. By the way, we're going to get this show on the road because I think this sweater is highly flammable, and so I don't want to risk it. As always, this show brought to you by Renfrew Pro Tape. Go to renfrewpro.com. Last minute Christmas ideas. You can order tape right there online from renfrewpro.com. Also, they're giving away stuff every day on their Instagram account at Renfrew Pro. Each and every day. I think on Sunday it was magnetic targets. All week long, fantastic stuff. So go check out Renfrew Pro on Instagram. Give them a follow. Renfrew Pro, the ones with the green core. They are our friends and true partners here at Coming in Hot. All right, guys. The Sens ended the week with a loss in Minnesota. I'm going to first start with the 4-game winning streak comes to an end. Yorkie, did we see this game coming? Is it just a time for almost a letdown? It's back-to-back on the road. It's Sunday afternoon. It just seemed like it was ripe for the taking there.
Before Christmas as well. And by the way, Wally, on your little Christmas elf shirt, it actually looks like you're wearing a Minnesota Wild jersey. Like from the neck down.
I know.
You look like you're wearing, like you're all fired up, the Minnesota Wild, got the jersey on.
Well, you know what? Actually, funny about that is I used to have to wear a sweater each year on TSN, and the one show that we did it got pushed back or changed, and it ended up being on Minnesota night, so everybody thought I was cheering for the Minnesota Wild while we were doing this segment. But anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
So everybody always talks about back-to-backs, and you're tired on back-to-backs. Okay, Bobby and I both played in Anaheim. I only really go into the fact that games are tough when you have to. Anaheim, for example, every single road trip you do, you add on an hour because you can't fly in Orange County, so you land in LAX, then you drive back to the Arrowhead Pond, then you get in your car and you get in your bed at 4 a.m. Then you got to play again. That's a little tough. I always found when I was on the road, I was fresher because you eat better, you get treated better, you're staying in a great hotel. So all this horse shit of, oh, God, we're tired. You know, I'm tired now that I'm done playing because I don't work out. I'm not in great shape, and I feel like shit every morning. When I was in the league, I felt like I was $1 million. Like you're fired up to go. You're a young man. Enough with the bullshit of you're tired and you can't do back-to-backs. These guys don't even practice hard anymore. It's rest management, sleep management. And I don't want. Okay, I will be that guy that said back in the day when the game was done, you didn't have a 4-course meal waiting at the rink for you, right? Now, there's no excuses, man. There's no. For me, I'm sorry. When I was on the road, I loved it. I was energized. I couldn't wait to go out after games, and so. Throw that horse shit out the garbage of the back-to-backs. Unless you're in Anaheim and you're grinding it out and you're playing the hard schedule. I just think law of averages. Ottawa was on a great roll. They were playing awesome hockey. Sooner or later, you're going to lose a game, and that's all it is. You can't win every game. Guess what? In hockey, the other team wants to win just as bad as you do. So that's what happens sometimes. And Minnesota's a really good hockey team. I was really impressed with that. And a lot of people don't get to see Kaprizov a lot. I think I just butchered his name, but man, he's a world class. Hey Bobby, he's a world class player. You watch him play, man. The puck's like it's like a piece of stickum on his stick. I really enjoyed watching him. So to me, enough with the back-to-back garbage. Minnesota won the game. They were better, and that's why they won.
I became a real big fan of Greenway lately. Really like the way he plays. That line's a very, very big, heavy line. I like them a lot, but nonetheless, I mean, you talked about the game enough, but it's, I don't know, Sunday games, man. There's just something about Sunday noon or whatever time it is, 1 o'clock start time. They were just always, I mean, you can talk about this. Everything's off for a noon start time. Normally you're going down for a nap when you're supposed to be getting up. It's just a hard game to play. They always are. And they were due for a loss. I think they've what are they, 8-3-1? I think I saw in the last 12 years. So yeah, I mean they were due. They were due to drop a dud, and I don't even want to say it was a dud, but it just wasn't a good game.
I thought you were going to say to drop a deuce. And they were due to drop a deuce.
It was time.
And Yorkie, again, as I said off the top, no negativity, and you are fired up this morning. You've had more foul language today than any other show.
We're a podcast. I thought we were supposed to swear. I thought that's supposed to be cool. All that stuff. We're swearing. I'm not a swearer anyhow. No, it's the other thing too. Don't forget. Here's the thing and I agree with Bobby on those 2 o'clock games. The body is weird, but I would rather be on the road for those games than at home because kids are up in the morning. It's just, anyways, it's the same for both teams. So let's move on.
You played in Boston, Yorkie, though. They are notorious for afternoon games. Do certain teams just adjust better? Pittsburgh, Boston, Chicago, I feel like they play a lot of afternoon games. Is there just
the Rangers
are used to it? Oh, right.
So some guys don't like it. I actually loved it because I had a lot of anxiety on game days, and I would have to keep my mind busy because I just like to be in the moment all the time. So I like to get the game over as quick as possible and then get it over. And you go out instead of going out at midnight after the game, you're going out at 7 o'clock to have a great dinner. I love an afternoon game.
Yeah.
And I hated pregame skates. I think pregame skates are the biggest. This is just me, Bob. I think they're the biggest waste of time. The pregame skate was invented when I first came in the league because guys were going out and get hammered night before games. That's why you have them because guys had to sweat the booze out, and guys don't drink anymore the night before. Well, some guys do, but not most guys don't drink the night before games. So, I don't know. Did you like the skates? I thought they were a waste of time.
You know what? I was a skater because Randy Carlyle made me a skater, right? You weren't allowed to take an optional. I'm scoring 35, but I wasn't allowed to take an optional because I was on my entry-level contract. It was brutal. I became a skater, so I don't. If you're gonna make me come to the rink, I'm gonna skate. That's kind of the way I look at it. If you actually, the best that I had ever played was when Guy Boucher was coach, and he just obliviated everything in the morning. He said, "We're not doing anything during that playoff run. We never even went to the rink. We just got up. You went about your day. I slept in because I'm not a sleeper, so I slept in the mornings, and then didn't have to worry about a pregame nap and all that. Yeah, the whole game day, it's a shit show. It's just you hurry up to wait. Just I'd rather play every game at noon and just get on with it. I agree with you.
Yeah, just think about this. You're saying you're going. I think you should go down to the rink, do your meetings, do all that stuff, because some guys will sleep in till noon. The guys and kids obviously won't, but it's to get guys out of bed. But the argument that you're going to get warmed up, you're going to get a skate so you can go eat a gigantic meal, and then get in your get in your bed for 2 hours and go to sleep. Like you're warming up to go on the ice because some guys have to get their bodies ready for the skate. Then you go to anyways. It's basically get the guys out of bed. And a long time ago, it was to get guys to sweat the booze out because they're, especially the road team, they were out before the night just having a few.
I want to ask a couple of things about players and stuff that's happened in the last little bit. Anton Forsberg doesn't play in Detroit. They start Cam Talbot for the simple fact that it's a divisional game and they need the win, and they don't start him against his former team, which he's obviously upset about the trade. Are we okay? And by the way, Anton Forsberg winless on the road, so I'm not sure it matters. Do we care of who starts in what game? Bobby, I'm going to start with you. If they didn't ask me, so it really doesn't matter what I think, but I would have started Cam Talbot in Minnesota.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to. I don't know, just from the feel good story about it, there's some back. Yes. Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I would have. I think you find a way to make that, but I do understand that divisional games take precedence over, who starts where, and when you're looking at records and things like that, there's a method to the madness for DJ and what he's trying to do. But at the same time, I think you find a way it's one thing if he's a young kid. He's not. He's a veteran goalie. You find a way to get him to start. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I'm right now the way Talbot's going. I'm just trying to get him in as much as possible. So when I coached, albeit it was at a junior A level, I go to my players. I'd always talk to my starting goalies before. I'm like, how you feeling? And if he's feeling good, I'd just go with him. Go with him as much as possible. He is. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but Talbot early on in the games, he's really given Ottawa a chance to settle into games because they're still making mistakes in the first period, and he's making huge saves that they don't get with Forsberg. So I still like Forsberg as a goaltender. He's just going through some tough times right now. But, man, Talbot he's really brought it to another level, and he's doing exactly what he was supposed to do when they brought him in here and to be the man. So I would get him in there as much as possible, and because he gives them the best chance to win right now. He's been that good.
Yeah, they got to stop. I mean, he's required to make 2 or 3 10-bellers way too early in the game for me. I think they got to extend that a little deeper into games before he's asked to it. But like you said, he's played some very, very good hockey lately, and he's given them a chance to win every night.
you and Bobby, you may know this better than most with your time with Ottawa. It seems every time a former Sens goalie starts against his team, it usually is a W. And Filip Gustavsson, once again, gets the start, gets the win, and said he did say, which I found, I don't know, maybe you can confirm this. I remember in Ottawa, it was always nervous coming into the rink, not knowing what team would show up. You'd play against good teams, and then you're nervous. This team is so good, so you can expect the team to win every night. Talking about Minnesota, it's just relaxing coming in here and doing what I'm doing. You would have, I don't know how much you played with him. Maybe you didn't play with him, but it just seems he wasn't always consistent in Ottawa, but here he is, obviously facing his former team and wants to get the win.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I had him for maybe 10, 12 guys, not a ton. Dude, he's a weird guy, like weirdo, absolute nerd. So he was just always the guy that was around, but you never saw, if that makes sense. He was in the rink, he kind of did his thing and then left. He was a nice kid, but he was a shitty goalie back then. Now he's kind of coming into his own. That's fine. But like, I don't know that you get to make that comment as a goalie that's, as a guy that's not solidified in the league. It just feels weird to me. But
you got any weird examples, Bobby? You got any weird stories? I love weird goalie stories.
No, he was fine. He just did his thing. He went to the rink and he came in and left. But he's a goalie. He was just always by himself doing his thing. I think we were so spoiled for so long because we had Andy, who was, a normal person, but goalies are just kind of out there. You just let them do their thing. I don't know. He sucked. I hate to say that, but he was no good. And obviously he is now, and he's a starter in the league. But at the same time, I don't know if you get to say that when you're that guy.
Yeah. Hey, how was Andy on game day? When Andy got to the rink, was he one of those guys? Could you talk to him, or was he in the zone?
Oh yeah, he had no care in the world. All he wanted to do was play. Like, I've never met a goalie like this. The way that Andy was, there was zero. He played soccer, he did his thing, and then he would just at the 40-minute mark he would switch into a different person as a goalie. But other than that, most goalies are a little out there. Andy was not. Andy just kind of went about his business and did his thing.
Yeah, because it's weird. Because it's funny. These goalies, Wally. Some of them you can't even talk to. I remember Ron Tugnutt. He was Bobby. He was with me first year with the Sens. He would come to the rink, and the minute he got there, you couldn't speak to him. He wouldn't talk to you. He wouldn't even acknowledge you. Sometimes we'd try and get his attention and stuff, and he would just he wouldn't even know you were there. And then everything he did was on a timer. It's like he had to tape his stick at this time. He did this, he did that, and then he told me 2 years left in his career, things weren't going well, and he's in Columbus, and he just threw the whole friggin' routine out the window, and he started talking, and he goes, "Man, I wish I would have done this the whole time in my career. I would have had way more fun." He goes, "This was so much stress doing this super routine. It's crazy."
That's it. The hardest guys to play with were the guys that had stuff like, Corey Perry is one of the worst, about methodical and doing things by the checklist. And I'm like, how do you live like that, man? It's exhausting. We got to do this 82 times a year. Just, fuck, man. And for me, it was just, I went in, I played soccer, had a chew, got ready for the game. That was it.
Well,
I was like,
I had one,
can't do it.
I had one thing. I don't know how this started, but I was convinced if I put my left shin pad on first, my knee would never get hurt, because I saw all these guys with knee braces, and I'm like, okay. And then I think it lasted for 15 years, and then in my 15th year, I friggin' blew my knee out. So fuck. Enough with that.
That was it.
I was good for 15.
Bobby, do you remember playing with Matt Duchene, who had he had to have 2 bottles of water or whatever on the bench? It had to be at the certain time. Then he had to leave the bench at a certain time.
He was nuts, man. He might be the most. I would say Corey Perry and Matt Duchene are 2 of the most that I've had to be around. That you're just like, how do you function doing all this stuff every day? It's like it's great for games 1 through 10, but for game 47 on Newark on a Tuesday, you're like, how are you getting up for this again?
I remember talking to Craig Anderson about that. Actually, I was like, on game days, I'm like, you've been around a long time, but like, do you not ever want to talk? He's like, no, man. He's like, if you want to go wear my goalie gear right now, you go right ahead. You want to wear a mask, you do whatever you like. It doesn't bug me. You can do whatever you need to do. I just go play the game. Marty Brodeur would sit and chat for a half hour, but Ron Tugnutt, like you said, or Patty Laline, you couldn't talk to on a game day because heaven forbid you ask them, why did you let the goal in last week or something, and get in their head. Goalies are messed up.
They are. Yeah. Yeah. They're exhausting.
Yorkie, you wouldn't have played, or did you play with Damien Rhodes?
Yeah. Damien was great. He actually, he was our first goalie in Ottawa, Bobby, when we actually won the first round of the playoffs with him. He was wearing this leopard skin jock. His first wife, Laura, how do I just describe her? She was into fashion and everything. She was a Toronto girl, and I think it was like a piece of her underwear or something that he had on his jock. But anyhow, it was a leopard skin. It was a leopard skin goalie jock, and he wore it for the whole first round of the playoffs. And he was one of the first guys to do their hair blonde, and it worked. We were the eighth seed, and he kept wearing this jock, and we beat New Jersey. We beat Marty Brodeur, which we didn't have a chance, but somehow we did it. But Rhodesy was convinced it was the leopard skin jock. Then another guy on our team, this guy Tom Chorsky, he had this little Buddha doll, and I don't know if you remember that well. The Buddha was in his stall, and we had the Buddha, and it became a huge story. But anyways, Buddha and the leopard skin jock didn't do us much good in the second round because I think we lost in 5 to Washington. So their powers only worked for the first round.
I'm going to move on. Alex DeBrincat celebrated his 25th birthday on Sunday, although he saw his 8-game point streak come to an end. Here's what I'm going to ask, because he's on track. He's second on the team in points. He's averaging basically a point per game, 30 points, 31 games. If he were to get 80 points any which way of 30 goals, 50 assists, is that enough to silence people and his contract number, or is his number always just going to be way too high? 80 points is pretty good for a winger. Bobby?
I mean, point per game guy, right? I don't know what more you could ask for with him. I don't know, what is it? 9, 21, 30 points. So he's a point per game guy. That's not a bad ask at $9 million. I think the sights were a little higher, and the real, expectations were a little unrealistic for him this year. At $9 million, and then the way that the trade happened and the way that they brought him in, and immediately thought, okay, he's with Giroux, he's going to score 50. It just doesn't always pan out the way that people think it. But I think 80 points is a great season. Absolutely.
No, I agree. I think he's playing his best hockey of the season. Like Captain Obvious right there, right? But I think this is two things that were really bad for the Senators that were great for Alex DeBrincat was Stützle and Norris getting hurt, because now he makes a living on the power play. He's so free. You watch him on the power play. He's so calm. See his zone entries too, Bobby. The way he comes through the neutral zone with speed. He gets possession in the zone every single time he has the puck. And I'll say this from the beginning, the makeup of this team, if you're going to have DeBrincat on this team and you want him to be the point per game guy, he has to play every power play, and he has to get a minute and 30. Like, you watch him, he thrives out there, and for you, Bobby, like we talked about this before, it's got to be really hard to go to those expectations when you're splitting a power play with another group. Like there's no chance he's going to get 40 goals. And why do we think he's getting all these points right now? Because they've got one power play, and he sees the majority. He's not on the power kill anymore, as you like to call it, Bob. And he's just, I don't know. Like I was a second power play guy, so I got like the 30 seconds. But these guys just, like 3 power play goals in one game. Those guys, I made the comment the other day, it's like they could go with a blindfold. They know exactly where Brady is. They've got DeBrincat on his flank. Claude's doing Claude things out there. Shabby's playing great hockey because they're the first unit. Now, I really think there's something to that, and that's why DeBrincat's scoring now, because he gets every good look of every power play, and he deserves it. He's a great player.
Yeah.
DeBrincat, by the way, has a 11 points, 3 goals, 8 assists on the power play in his last 15 points. So he does thrive on the power play. My point is, we were so hard on him to be a $9 million guy and a 40 goal scorer, and I would take him at scoring 80 points any which way, because somebody's scoring the goals at some point, right? So if it's not him, somebody's putting them in. He is making $6.4 million in real salary this year, and I think that's where the numbers should be closer to. That $9 million qualifying offer just messes it up. So I'm starting to think they can sign him for less if it's a 5-year deal. It's not going to be a $9 million a year deal, right? It just has to be qualified. So now he gets 7.5, 8 million maybe on a 5-year deal, and not 9 million per. Would I be wrong?
No, I think I think he's closer to the $7 million guy. It's just hard to say. You need to decide if he's going to be your guy. I mean, if you have your core, right? You have your core group of guys, and you need to see if you just have to decide if he's going to be part of that, honestly. Because I think if he walks and they lose him, the Sens don't change, right? Like they still have their group. So you need to find a way to make him, I mean, he's a goal scorer. You need to find a way to pay him what he's worth. But you do have to decide if he's your guy long-term, right? If he's going to be part of that mix.
Yeah, that's a great point, Bobby. Because to me, your best player, your guy is Brady. Brady's your guy, and then your future is Tim. Your future is Tim Stützle. I think Drake Batherson is so talented. I know he's minus 20, but to me he's in your top core. and then you got Josh Norris. So will DeBrincat get all these points when all those guys are healthy? Probably not. Unless you're going to have to do something. So it's a great problem to have, having too many guys. But when everyone's healthy, it's going to be tough for DJ to make everybody. Where does everybody fit on these power plays? And I even mentioned Claude Giroux.
Right.
Claude's here for 2.5. And why is Claude all of a sudden getting all these points? Well, because he's exactly where Claude Giroux needs to be to make sure. Like, the power play always runs through Claude Giroux, except for the first 30 games or 20 games of the season. Claude's on the second unit. So I don't know. I think they need to, for me. Yeah. I think they need to. I would depending on where Ottawa is, I would trade DeBrincat at the trade deadline and get a hell of a lot of. I would get a ton of good players for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I would settle for a top 4D, but we digress. This show, as always, coming in hot, brought to you by BEI, Bonnechere Excavating Inc. Go to BonnechereExcavating.com. They help with all your landscape needs, stone, aggregate, also paving. 613-432-1120, BonnechereExcavating.com. BEI, helping to shape the Ottawa Valley. Yorkie, you just brought up DJ Smith, and so it's time to be a little more festive. And it seems that perhaps with the 8-3-1 in the last 12 games, that the critics have been silenced by having him replaced. Are we? And I know you said early on he doesn't need to go. He just moved into second all-time for most games coached by an Ottawa Senator. Does this silence the critics, at least for, I don't know, the rest of the year?
No, it's Ottawa. They'll be back. Once this team goes into another little funk, they'll be all over him again. Like they'll start talking about structure, and he's not a good coach. The one thing I love about DJ is that I can tell the players like him. I'm not in the room, but you look at the captain, Kachuk's, if your captain is playing this well and he's this happy in the core, they play hard for the coach. And that's, to me, is the most important thing. These guys play hard. Yeah, they make mistakes. Yeah, they have some defensive blow-ups. But that's a young team. Young teams are going to do that. Yeah. So, critics are silenced for now, but I tell you, they'll be back. We know they'll be back.
Yeah, they're never going too far. I think the measure of a team at this point in this juncture for them, that's not going to be a playoff team. We know that, but they're going to be a team that's going to get into meaningful games now. If the players are playing hard and they're not quitting on the coach, that is all that you need to see, right? And they come out and they're prepared every night. They really are. You know, aside from a few games this year, they just didn't look ready to play. He's got them ready to play. I think he's got the room. I think that, you know, when Brady, like you said, Brady comes out and works every night, and is just happy in where they're at. I think he's, you know, his job is safe. But when somebody comes in and buys this thing, they're going to clean house anyway. It's just the way it goes, right? Everything is going to change. Yeah.
Nobody's getting nobody's getting fired as long as until this team is sold. Yeah, nothing's changed. Nothing's changing.
Nothing.
Nothing's changing. No one's getting signed. This team's in a holding pattern right now until this is settled, whether that's January or February. It'll be settled before March though, because there's some things going on in the background that's out there that hasn't been discussed publicly, that it has to be sold by a certain date because there's some estate tax and some stuff that has to be settled. So nothing's going to happen till then. It doesn't matter.
Look at this. Hey, boots on the ground. I gotta get up there. I haven't heard any of this. I gotta get up there.
Boots on the ground.
You're over there at the Cheshire Cat getting this kind of stuff.
We switched all meetings. The Cats Monday, Bobby, for trivia night. It's Churchill's now. Churchill's Wednesday night. You love Churchill's. Yeah. You ever been there? Right in Westboro? At the old wood walls.
No. Oh, yeah. You know what? My first year there. That is a good spot. Good poutine, too.
Yeah. Great poutine.
We'll have to do a full show on all the haunting grounds there. I know a couple quiet boys.
We did. You'd love this. We did a neighborhood walkabout the other night. We started off at my one buddy's house. We had drinks, food there. Then we walked over to my other buddy's house, and then we finished at my house for. So we did like a 3. It's called the Westboro Walkabout, and we go house to house to house, and you do a little visiting, a little Christmas cheer at every place. It was a good night.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to ask something that came out of the Cam and Strick podcast, Bobby, regarding Guy Boucher. Chris Neal said basically he had lost the room. It was the players who managed the room. I don't have the exact quote. I apologize. I don't even have it in the notes. So again, I apologize for it. Yeah. And I know you like playing for Guy, and Mark Mathod said he liked playing for Guy and a few guys, but there are, and obviously Nealer was one. There's a few that aren't happy playing with him. Did he lose the room as you saw it?
I could not disagree with that comment more. I thought, I actually don't think I played for a coach that had a better pulse on the room, especially during that run. But there's a little saltiness there on Nealer's behalf by the way the things ended for him. That's for sure. I understand that. But Nealer came in and changed that series in against the Rangers, doing what he did. So when it got down to the last series there against Penguins, there wasn't a role that was going to be defined for Nealer in that situation. He wasn't going to play. And I think that him and Guy had a lot of conversations over him not being in the lineup, but I'm sure they had a lot of conversations, and I'm sure they were salty, as we kind of saw come out. But at the same time, I don't think that I ever played for a coach that had a better pulse on the room than Guy did. So, take that for what it is.
Really?
Yeah, I thought Guy was great, man.
It's interesting. Because I just got a sense, but you get it from right? Depending on how you're playing and how much time you get and where you are in the lineup, people obviously see the game differently, and right. So I just felt that there was a lot of not anger, animosity or something towards Guy. Yeah. Like there was just a feeling that he wasn't listening, or he thought that he knew the game better than anybody in the room. But again, I'm not in the room with your meetings. It's just a vibe that I felt. Did you how was it divided?
Not at all. No. It would be very, very hard to say that room was divided at all. It was a veteran room though, right? The team ran itself. Yep. That's not, Nealer wasn't wrong at that. The team held itself very accountable. We had a good group of guys in that room, but I don't think I just don't understand how you could think that way about Guy. That he didn't, they didn't have a good pulse. Like, guys showed up and played, right? And to make the run that we made, like, we weren't a very good hockey team, right? We had some talent, but we were beating teams based on his system, and we all completely bought in, and it made sense for us. So to say he lost the room is just, it's incredibly weird to say. I don't get that at all.
Like, and that's one of the things where people, I didn't sense that necessarily to be true as well, but there was just a weird, I don't know, feeling that some people talk in your ear and they speak loudly, right? And the silent, or I guess the minority sometimes get to be louder. Was there ever a sense that, when did you guys think that you were a good hockey team? My point, because you said, like, I didn't think you guys were going to make the playoffs that year. Like, you were just kind of 7th to 8th, 9th. No one really thought much of the way that you guys were built. And then suddenly you go on a run and they're like, oh my God, we were Stanley Cup champion. We could have been Stanley Cup champions. But in February, March, nobody was like, oh, this Ottawa team, look out.
So we had played, I don't even want to know what the number was, but it was a ridiculous amount of one goal games all year long, right? That was just games that we were in. Yep. So when you got down to, you have to remember, when the guys clinched playoffs, I was out for 6 weeks with a broken hand. Shocking. But I was on the side as well. But there was just a sense, I think all year long, we as a team felt comfortable right out of the gate in 1 goal games. There's just some, there's no rhyme or reason why, you just do. We were never a team that was going to run up the scoreboard. We were going to flip the switch. Our special teams were going to have to be good. We were going to flip the script in the neutral zone and then hang around until the third period. And that was kind of our, that was our standard operating procedure. But I think that we thought we were good and conditioned for the playoffs all year long. That's how it felt like for us.
Yeah, I think at one point it was 20-some 1-goal games, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember you guys. I think you led the league for sure in 1-goal games. Finally, tonight, Alex Ovechkin's in Detroit with a chance to tie or surpass Gordie Howe for the second most goals. Do you guys, like, Yorkie, do you remember going up against him at all?
So Ovi came in when I was going out. So I didn't have a lot of experience, and I was on the third pair in Boston, so they weren't letting me out against Ovechkin. I didn't want to go out against Ovechkin anyhow. It's like, it's the old coach grabbing you by the shoulder when you're trying to get out there. You get back here. You're not going out there. And anybody that says they saw this coming is lying. If you're looking at one, right. See a couple of records. Gretzky's 92 goals. I don't think that one, but who knows? Nobody ever thought this would even come close. And look at what Ovi's done. I really think I hated how he played early on in his career. He cheated so much, and he cheated the game, and I hated how he played. And now I watch him. He just, not that he's ever going to be a great defensive player, but he started blocking shots a little bit. He really makes defense pay with his hits. He plays way harder than he used to play early on in the game. And what can you say about the guy? He's been great for the game. Remember, Don Cherry used to roast Ovi all the time too, and even everybody used to be on him. They just thought, never going to win with him. This guy is just a one-way player. And one thing I got to say though, Nicholas Backstrom, what an underrated player he was that Ovi got to play most of his career with. And that duo together, geez, having a guy like that. And hey, listen, Ovi would always score goals, but it helps an awful lot when you got a pass first guy like that with you. But now, what a career. And I think he'll break Gretzky's record eventually. His body, he's just so big, so strong. You can't hurt him. He's not going to get hurt. And no, it's been incredible to watch, eh, Bob?
It has, yeah. I've had a front row seat for a few of his goals.
I
think we lost like 7-1 down there one time. It was right after the trade deadline, And I remember Bora was like, dude, we just gotta like talk to the group. And like Brady was in the room, a couple young guys. And I was like, guys, I'm just telling you now, I've been in this league for 14 years. This is a shit show. You're never going to see this again, okay? Like, the coach is gone. Guy had just gotten fired. Crow is running things. It was just like, it was a circus every day. You had no clue. And we were like, guys, just, batten down the hatches. We got to just get through these last 20 games, and then, the organization is going to change some things. And then we lost 7-1, and Ovi had a couple. I think he absolutely walked Eric Carlson, if I remember correctly. It was like, it was goal 4 or 500. It was brutal. It was brutal. But we've had a front row seat for a long time, and it's just it's impressive to be able to score that many goals from the same spot. They cover you, and you still do it. It's incredible.
And that's
just trying to find this game.
Too. You ever see? Do you have one of it? I had one of his stick, Bobby. He has that huge banana curve. He uses the short
so
stick.
ugly.
When you watch him stick handle it too, you're like, man, it looks like he's always going to lose the puck, but he always keeps it. And he's no, it's like he's there. He's going to shoot it. Somehow it always goes in. No, it's
crazy.
been it's almost unexplainable. It's unexplainable.
Agreed.
All right.
What do you?
I was just trying to find that game just to see how it went, but I can't quite come up with it at the moment. There are a couple. I'm just trying to. Is it 2017, 2018?
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
Because there's a 2016 game that's 7-1, but that's not right.
Yeah, that. I feel like that was.
There's a 7-2. 7-2 on 2019
down there. That was not a good building for the Sens. Now that I think about it.
No. The Washington had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight games against you guys in Washington.
Yeah,
at one point.
That Washington rink. I always felt like someone was going to bug me on the way to that rink. It's just in the worst. Wally, it's in the worst part of town, and you're walking there. And you're always thinking, okay, who's going to jump out of the bushes here and steal my wallet or something like that? It's just
so true. So true.
Not a nice place.
The year they won the cup was in Washington, and so obviously it's just a mess of people outside. And I remember leaving, I was completely alone. I walked through this just a dumpster fire of just trash everywhere. Walking back to the hotel, and it was eerily silent. And I'm like, this just seems a little weird to me. I'm just going to keep walking quickly. Detroit was the scariest walk I've ever had, though. And in New Jersey, you didn't walk around one corner of the building.
No, that's very true.
So, Bobby,
New Jersey, they told don't walk on that side.
Did they tell you when you played in Detroit? When I played there, they said if after a game when you're driving downtown, don't stop at the stoplights. Keep driving.
Keep moving. Just keep going.
Because if you stop. They were doing carjacks. This was a long time ago, but downtown, anyone that's watching has been downtown Detroit. Yeah, you keep going. You don't stop at those stoplights because not recommended.
That's no. You just got to keep moving right through the entire downtown.
We were at a restaurant. So this is before they built the new arena, but we were at so we were staying at the GM. I think we were at GM Motors, that Marriott hotel. And we were at a restaurant where I could see the hotel. And Ian Mendes is with us, my cameraman, whatever. And they're like, when you're done, let us know. We'll call you a cab. I'm like, okay, sure. And they said it like 3 times, and it didn't clue into me. I'm like, no, we'll just walk back. Well, by the time we walked back, people had come out of nowhere, and they're demanding money from us. And I remember being on the phone with my wife going, I'm now crossing this street. I'm crossing. If I go missing, this is the last place I was. I was terrified. We had to empty our wallets, basically, is what happened. Yeah. So next time, take the cab.
Yeah. Lovely city, though.
Not good. Anyway.
Yeah.
Great the new rink is great. But the new rink is like, it's
I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. The rink, the setup that they have for the Red Wings players, it was just ridiculous. I could not, when I walked in coming from Ottawa to walking in for an Original Six franchise, I could not believe what I was seeing. And this was a COVID year where they were cutting all the corners. It was that incredible. just absolutely stunning rink.
Yeah, and you get
they've done an amazing job.
You get treated like gold when you play in Detroit too. Like their culture, and I know they've gone through some tough times, but they've got all their alumni around. They've got alumni working for the team. They've got it's just a very cool place to play. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do you guys think Alex Ovechkin will tie Gordie Howe's record tonight in Detroit? Bobby?
Yep. I'm saying he gets it done. Too iconic not to get it done on a night like tonight. So I think he gets one tonight.
Yeah, I for sure. After what I saw at Detroit too, with Ottawa's power play getting 3, Detroit's penalty kill was terrible. I think he breaks it. I'm going to go. I'm taking the over, guys. I think he gets 2, and and right there where Gordie Howe was with Detroit for so many years, fitting place to do it. I think he gets 2. Lock it in.
I like it. The lock of the week.
Your
lock of the week.
Yorkie's for 2. It. All right. Well, we'll see. We are back to Tuesday, 3 p.m. live with Frank Saravelli from Daily Faceoff. We'll get in more depth, perhaps with the sale of the team, with anything maybe with potential moves and signings with perhaps Alex DeBrincat. We'll find out tomorrow. See you guys later. Appreciate your time. Don't forget sweaters again on Tuesday.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right, gents. Have a good one.